When you start getting into disk detainer locks, one of the most common locks that you will usually find that are good are these locks here. This is the ABUS Plus core, as you can see, and this is probably one of the most commonly available good disk detainer cores. It has false gates, a random tensioning disk, and butterflies at both the rear and the front. This eliminates the opportunity to use front disk tension or bottom disk tension. You actually have to tension a random middle disk. This lock here works very smooth, has many disk detainer locks, and it's actually quite a pick resistant core. This thing here is probably never going to get picked, especially not if it's in a padlock like this, because they are strong, but not the strongest. Since this is a lock that very many people struggle with, I'm going to be picking this thing here now and showing just how I pick them. This guy's here is killing me. Just showing how I pick them and how you could pick them for yourself. In this demonstration, I'm going to be using one of the nicer disk detainer picks. It is the Silver Bullet. You can obviously buy your own Silver Bullet, but they are quite expensive. Not everyone can afford them. Or you can go ahead and make your own random tensioning setup, which I will show in another video. So, that's the tool I'm going to be using. And I have this oriented in such a way that I have 2 pick tips on this thing here. You can read about this more in the Silver Bullet manual if you decide to buy your own Silver Bullet. And what I'm going to do here now is that I'm going to insert this thing here as far down as it will go. Then I'm going to insert here into the disk stack. And let's say that this is the spinner. It is quite far. And this is actually going to be tensioning one of the random tensioning disks, allowing me to pick the bottom stack. And when I have picked all the disks under it, I'm going to be shoving them together, moving this thing here back, tensioning this disk, this tipper now, and then picking the above disks, maybe go back once, pick the under, and then the lock will open, hopefully. So let's get to it here now. First step is always rotate the disks as far as they will go. Generally, disks like to be rotated backwards instead of forwards. A few reasons for that I won't go into this video, but sometimes they can get a little bit stuck if you go ahead and do that. So I should actually note really quick here now, you'll see that I have some markings here now on my tool. These are to indicate where the tensioning disk is. You do not know this when you get a random lock, but it is quite easy to figure out and it's very distinct. So if I just go ahead and tension up the first disk, let me just go under the butterfly disk. Here we go, under the butterfly disk. Now, if I go in and turn this thing here, it's very smooth, as you'll see. Very, very smooth. If I go one disk down, again, fairly smooth. If I go ahead and go another disk down, now I can actually start feeling something. So that indicates that that is a tensioning disk. You will have to try that out for yourself, but that is how you can actually do that. So now I'm going to pick up the first tensioning disk. Right after I just go in and reset all the disks again, because I've likely moved some discs out of the 0 position. Yes, I did. The butterfly discs actually get picked when you do this, so you don't have to worry about them. Okay, inserting the tool here now. And I'm gonna get the black marker right here. Right, and you will have this thing here slip off quite often. This is why the markings on the tool are quite good, because you will never lose where you're supposed to be tensioning. So that's good. Okay. I'm here now, wiggling this thing here. Appears to be in a gate. Moving back. Going, yep, here. Okay, lost my tensioning. Okay, let me just go and return this disc here. They really don't like to be turned clockwise. They really do just like to be turned counterclockwise. Okay, got the first key disc in a gate. Second key disc also in a gate. Third key disc is the one I'm going to be tensioning from. Marker is aligned. Fourth key disc in a gate. I can't feel anything here. Okay, let me move tensioning back one. It's here now. No. Okay, I will likely insert something here at the front. I'm going to move back here now. Make sure the marker is aligned. Yes, it is. Like that. Butterfly negate. First key disc negate. Not sure on the second key disc. I think it's fine. Or actually, it might be here. Yep. All right. Just making sure I've got everything in a gate. Once you do get everything in a gate, you will drop into a little bit of a false set, which I just did. And now the false gates will actually start to bind. And this is very important. This is the step where we start actually differentiating who is the true and who is the false gate. So, you see the wiggle here? I've got quite a bit of wiggle. Moving down one, here. I've got a lot more wiggle. So, that's actually quite weird. not expect that. Okay, we're back anyways. Tensioning with the second pick tip. Going to be checking discs under. Okay, I believe I got the second key disc in a true gate. I believe I got the first key disc in true gate. There's significantly more play in a true gate than in a false gate. They're much wider. Although they don't bind, you can usually distinguish them. Okay, I overset this disc here. Moving it back. Okay, got that in true gate. Another in true gate. Oops. False gates are really just there to delay you, and they really do that quite well. But they will not stop a picking attack. They will just delay it, and they will delay it quite significantly. This lock would probably have been open by now if it wasn't for false gates. But they are not what's making this lock here actually difficult to pick. And there we go. So we got that lock open. And now I'm going to get this lock, but before I get it, or actually while I'm getting it, I'm going to be showing why this exploit here actually works. So I'm going to keep the lock in frame. There we go. Just going to put away that device. I'm just going to put the lock right here, next to the tripod. And there we go. Just get some stuff here. This is actually from, not the spring. This right here, these two ball bearings and the screw, actually go down the shackle hole right here and prevent this thing here from being turned. Now of course they're not there, so we don't have to screw them out, waste time. I'm just going to screw it out right here. I generally like to have these things here out of the lock while I'm picking and having fun with it, simply because if the lock, something happens with the lock, I don't lose the lock. The lock will be open. I lost a spinner here. Spinner does nothing other than prevent drilling attacks. There's nothing more in this lock here. I'm just gonna put it away here. Here's a spinner. Unfortunately, it's not a gated spinner, but it doesn't have to be. Stinger just prevents drilling attacks, and it does that really well. It's actually very hard to drill these things here. I actually misaligned the butterfly disc here now, Will took it out. So you can see here now, this sidebar is actually all the way into this lock. So you can see, all the way in here. That means that it's in all of the true gates. So I'm actually going to dump the sidebar out right after showing that it's completely unmodified. So you can see there are no mods on the sidebar. And here you can see all the discs actually. So you can see all of the true gates of the discs are actually lined up. Now I want to show something. If I just go ahead and grab this piece of rod here, sheet metal, I go ahead and reset all the discs, turn them as far as to go. Notice, let me get a light here actually. Notice the two discs here are now in the middle. Oh, come on. Notice them. Come on. Okay, there we go. You see how they are actually in a true gate already? The gates that you can turn max and are in a true gate, those discs are what you need tension from. And what happens here now with this tool, let me just put a butter spinner in here so that it's easier to hold. What happens here with this tool is that I go ahead and insert this pick tip pair and this pick tip pair. And I go ahead and locate this disc right here. The other discs will turn right now, but I don't do that in the lock. And while I'm tensioning that disc here, I'm able to go through all of the other discs. Set that in the gate, set that in the gate. If it's a false gate right here, I'm just going to wiggle that. Wiggles a little bit. And the true gate, here it will wiggle quite a bit. So just going to go through that, pick that, pick that, pick that. And now I go ahead and swap around my pick tips so that I'm tensioning this other disc. Right here, I'm tensioning that disc, and then I can actually pick the other discs. It's a little bit difficult to show here now because all of the other discs are moving. They of course do not do that in the lock. Otherwise it would be very hard to actually have a key that was working. I'm going to be gutting this thing here now. So we have a thread protection spinner that I showed. Where are my tweezers there? We have a butterfly disc, have a spacer, have a keyed disc, we got a spacer, and we got a keyed disc again, got a spacer, another keyed disc. Get this thing out here now, come on. Another keyed disc, another spacer, keyed disc, spacer, spacer and key disc, spacer and keyed disc. Last but not least, we have another butterfly, and now this shell here is empty. What I really like about this shell is the fact that this shell here is actually made out of steel, and it's quite thick steel here as well. So if I were to have the sidebar here and it was not picked, I would actually be pushing this steel shell here against the sidebar. And by leveraging that, if I were to have like a, just go ahead and pretend that this thing here was very strong. By leveraging that, I could actually be turning this thing here, and I could sort of break off the shell here, sort of break that. Pushing the sidebar into the discs like this would be actually really difficult. So you would actually break the shell, but since the shell here is steel, it will not break under any pressure that we could actually put on this lock here. So forcing the stinger is completely out of the image. We're never going to do that. Something more about the lock, if anybody cares to know. We got a ball bearing locking mechanism right here. Got a brass actuator, and we got 2 ball bearings. So brass actuator. I do like steel actuators better because they have more pulling strength. However, since the shell here is actually brass, it doesn't really matter. And also applying that much pressure on a shackle is quite hard in itself. So, that is the ABUS Plus Pict. Thanks a lot for watching.